Hey everyone, this is Mike Andes. You're listening to the Business Bootcamp Podcast. Today I'm going to be talking about the Tough Mudder I just ran last weekend. Before we get into that, I want to say a big thank you to today's sponsor for the show, which is FreshBooks. If you haven't already, go to freshbooks.com/bootcamp. You can get a free 30-day trial on a software package that I truly believe will change your business. It'll allow you to accept credit cards, cut down on your payables to you, how much people are owing you, your accounts receivable is what it's called. It's going to help you with your accounting and managing all of your clients' information. So if you don't have a CRM, and if that sounds like foreign Chinese to you, definitely you're going to want to check out freshbooks.com/bootcamp, and on using that URL, you can get a free 30-day trial, and make sure you put in the Business Bootcamp Podcast in the How Did You Hear About It section. Now, today I'm going to be talking to you obviously about a Tough Mudder I just ran. And if you don't know what a Tough Mudder is, it's a little over 12 mile run that you do. And we did it in Whistler. I did it with some of the guys from that work with me, and I paid for them. We went up there and slept overnight in the truck, and then ran this Tough Mudder. It's like 12 to 13 miles long, has 25 obstacles, and is a good team building event, and then just obviously just a whole lot of fun. It was my first Saturday this whole year that I had off, so that was a good thing to do. Just kind of break out of the routine. And I think as I get older, I find value in just breaking out of the routine, whether that be just getting away for a day or doing something differently out of the ordinary or out of the norm, out of my daily routine, just to break things up. And the reason I think that's important, and as I get older, I've found more value in doing that. The reason I think that's important is because it gives you a new perspective on things. And so, when I'm running a Tough Mudder, I am also thinking about strategizing and planning the next steps with the business for my personal life, my goals, where I'm at, what problems I'm facing personally and in the business. And so you're able to think, get new perspective, see things, overcome challenges. Like in this obstacle run, the last couple miles, it's more of a mental thing, just getting through it. We did up in Whistler, BC, British Columbia, Canada. And so it's up in a mountainous area. So lots of steep inclines. You got gravel. You got the fact that it was raining, so it's super muddy. And the only thing I didn't get hurt at all. The only time I kind of stretched a little bit too much was because of the rain, and there's 20,000 people riding on all the roads that they make throughout the woods. There's mud everywhere, and so I slipped one time, just kind of did the splits and kind of stretched myself out a bit in the groin, but I'm fine. We're okay, and it was a good time. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing, and I wanted to touch base with you, although I know last week I had said this week's going to be a big week, and I had already had a few people emailing me like, what happened with the business, blah, blah, blah. Are you going to be starting the second location? And yes, it looks like we are going to be starting that second location. It's not set in stone yet because I haven't signed a lease. However, that's the direction we're going right now. And I want to make sure that this concept works in a large market, in a market that is going to sustain a $3 million company and not just a $1 million company. And so that's what I'm going to be testing out here. And that's why we're going for the second location. It's not set in stone. It's not 100%. I've only sent a letter of intent with our requirements and payment terms and all that to the landlord for the new location, and they said everything looked good, but we haven't signed anything. And so if we do that, it's going to be, hopefully we start it up in the next month or two, as far as opening the doors. A lot of work there, just a huge amount of work that we'd be trying to do and cram in because we'd want to get it started as soon as possible because it's already halfway through the summer. And so the faster we can get that ready and the doors open, the more chance of us getting some market share in 2017. Although the big push will be 2018, the spring, when we bring a lot of the service side of stuff to the second location. And so if you know our business model, we have the services side of things, mowing, landscaping, and then we have just the retail side. So we'd probably just start with retail only at the second location for the rest of 2017, and then make the big shift where the money is really at as the service side of things. And we'd do that in 2018 spring. Now, the big thing I want to talk to you all about today is just something that I've been going through. And as you know, the podcast has really turned a lot to me documenting the journey, what I'm doing in the business and all of that. I still like to answer your guys' questions. And as always, businessbootcamppodcast.com is where you can send questions on how to start, grow, or save your business. And I get back to all you guys on all of that. However, on the podcast, I will still obviously use some Q&A. However, as you know, I've been documenting more about what I'm doing, how I'm going about growing this business, so that in 10 years I can look back and have a track record, have a documentary, I guess you might say, of audio that kind of goes to the story of growing the company. And so I think that's gonna be a lot of, like, really interesting for me and my kids one day down the road. But I think it'll be something that a lot of people can learn from, and so that's what we're doing. And so one of the things recently, and literally within like the past 24 hours, that I've been struggling with thinking about is allowing 5 to 10% of stuff, the 5 or 10% negative, allowing that to overshadow the 80, 90% positive. 95% positive, 99% positive. Like, it's amazing how such a small amount of customer feedback or a communication with an organization that is negative, that small amount, how it dramatically overshadows and envelops the large majority of positivity. And the reason I've been thinking about this is because I'll just say it straight and how it is. And so I haven't spent a whole lot of time focusing on online reviews for our company. That's changing like this week, like big time. Um, and the reason for that is what I'm about to say. And so essentially, we run off of customer referrals and word of mouth and all that. However, like, that's all online now, and I need to focus more on getting those reviews and all of that. We had done a big review thing for Google, and Google is a big driver for our reviews. However, we did it all at the exact same time as part of a giveaway, and Google cleansed 90% of those reviews. So I've learned that we got to do it over time, like throughout the year. We can't do it all at once because Google will literally clean out a lot of those reviews. So that was kind of a mistake. But since then, which is like a year and a half ago, I haven't really pursued getting reviews, which is a mistake. Well, so on, like, if you look on Google, so Augusta Lawn Care is our business, AugustaLawnCareServices.com. And on Google, I think we have like 6 reviews, all 5 stars. Great. On Angie's List, I think we have about 6 or 7 all 5-star reviews, maybe 1 4-star, but like all good reviews, all good stuff. On Yelp, we have a few good ones, but and other locations we have good stuff. Like Reddit, there's some good things on us there on review stuff. There's other places where we have reviews, but Facebook, we have like, I think, like 8 or 10 really positive reviews. But the review places that I'm really interested in right now is Google Plus, Yelp, and Facebook. And so until like last night, until a couple weeks ago, we had pretty much all 100% positive 5-star reviews on everything. Well, however, I looked last night, and on Yelp, because I haven't been paying attention, Yelp, we had 2 very, very negative reviews from 2 clients. One client from last year that just recently posted, and then one more recent customer. And the reason it hurts is because as a service-based business, we run off of customer referrals, we run off of all that, and we really do try to make the customer happy, and we put the customer first, regardless of whether or not profit is a part of the equation. And so if a customer needs something to be satisfied, or they feel like they need something as part of a job, like, we will forego profit or making money, or even time, to make sure that they are happy. And so when that is the North Star of your business, and then on review sites, they start questioning that North Star, or saying things like you're a scam artist, or like that you're tricking people into doing things, or you were dishonest, like, that is a huge amount of negativity and a huge amount of weight on my shoulders, or anyone's shoulders who is very, very much invested and interested in making sure their customers are happy. And then for customers to say these things on review sites is tough. And so we've never, literally, this is the reason this is kind of hitting home, is because we've never had negative reviews, and never on social media or online or anything like that. And now all of a sudden on Yelp, we have these 2 very glaringly negative reviews. And the reason I'm in this dilemma is because the question I have is, do I respond back on Yelp, or do I contact the customer directly and try to explain what's going on? Like, for instance, there's the 2 that I'm talking about are on Yelp. They're the only 2 really big reviews that we have on Yelp, and so it's brought our rating down to like 1.5 stars because there's only 2 reviews. And it's been the past couple weeks. One customer was from last year who we did their job late in the year, and it started raining like crazy, and so it essentially flooded out their lawn, and it flooded out a large part of their pavers that we had laid, which made them buckle, because last winter here in the Pacific Northwest was absolutely crazy. We had more rain and snow than we've ever had, and it really did a number on the lawn. And so we told them, okay, you don't have to pay all your bill. We will promise to come back and finish the job and make sure it's all 100% satisfactory next spring, which is this spring, 2017 spring. And so we did that. They only paid 10,000 out of their $14,500 bill, and under the understanding that we'd come back next spring and make sure everything was up to par. Well, we came back in the spring, and they decided we went over the job and everything, and they decided that regardless of whether or not we fixed it or not, they weren't going to pay the remainder $4,500. And we offered to replace the entire sodded lawn, which had part of it had died because it was sitting underwater for the whole winter. We offered them to, bring in soil, raise it up, put in new sod, and make sure it worked. We offered to come redo the pavers, set them and now that it had time to actually set and not being in the rain, because we did it in like November, late November, which really wasn't smart on our part, and that's why I was willing to, okay, like, just eat the bullet, just take this and move on, make sure the customer's happy. Well, they decided they weren't going to pay regardless of whether or not we fixed it. And so we walked away from that job and told them, okay, take that 4,500 and get someone else to, do it right or something different, because they had obviously something against us. However, that person decided to put a really negative review on our Yelp page and obviously say that we did horrible work and all this. Not that they, of course, didn't mention the fact that 30% of their bill was knocked off and that we offered to come fix it in order to get paid for everything. And like, we wanted to make it right. They didn't mention that, of course. But my question is, do I respond on directly publicly on Yelp and explain all of those details, or do I contact the client and try to get them to take it off? Like, what do you do there, right? And then the other review was it's a review where they essentially took pictures of a stone wall that we had done on their property, but it wasn't the finished product. And we weren't finished. It was halfway through the job when the rocks were piled up, and they took a picture of it and said that we made a really bad wall. Well, they didn't take pictures of the final result, and it's a completely different design of the wall. Like, I just posted the final result as far as one of the pictures on Yelp, and it looks completely different. And it actually shows it looking really nice and all of that. Well, they had taken a picture before we had installed the lawn, before we had finished the wall, 2 days before we had even started placing them with excavator. And so, and they said that that was like our finished product and said it was unprofessional, that wasn't worth the money, blah, 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 blah. And so what do I say? Because, and then they went on about, they said that they had contacted us about some plants that had died after the job was done and after they had paid. Well, we never got communication about that. We never got an email or phone call. They had said, some of their plants had died and that they had contacted us, and then they didn't get a response. Well, if that ever happened, I assure you I would have contacted them. And so I'm in this dilemma, like, it's all about like they said versus we said and like all of that. And do I really want to, air that laundry out online and in a public Yelp and try to defend ourselves, or do you go after the client? So I'm still thinking about that. And what I've really kind of come up with is right now my strategy is going to be try to bury those two reviews. And this is the thing, and like I'm gonna go back to about negativity and how the 5% almost kind of trumps out or overshadows the 95% positive. But what I'm gonna try to do is try to bury those Yelp reviews. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna try to get 5-star reviews from as many of our customers as we can possibly do over the course of the next few months to try to essentially bury them. Because if there's two negative reviews out of 50 that are all 5-star, and they like, someone that's looking at that is going to uh, take those two reviews with a much larger grain of salt, because now it's like, okay, maybe these people didn't communicate with the company, or didn't, try to get these things resolved before they aired their dirty laundry online. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And so I'm gonna be asking my clients going forward to, I like my big thing is, this is the thing. I should have been doing this a year ago. I kind of stepped back, like I said, after Google cleansed a bunch of our reviews, and I did it wrong as far as doing a giveaway and getting all the clients to do it, and then them taking off 90% of them. So we gotta stretch it out a little bit more over the course of a couple weeks, even instead of all in one day. And so I'm gonna ask all the clients, and by the way, I guess I might as well ask, if you want to help me do this, bury these Yelp reviews, feel free to go into Yelp and just obviously you can't review the company, but you can review even the owner, me, if you listen to me for a long time and you trust the owner, blah, 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 blah. Like that's all. Like I genuinely care so much about the customers. And so that's why this means so much to me and why it hurts so much when you spend so many hours working hard, trying to make clients happy, and then one or two of them to say something like this and be so public online and get a bad kind of rapport with the community. And so if you want to help me, that'd be great. Yelp is you can just find us on Yelp, Augusta Lawn Care Services, and tell the world what you think about our company and what you've seen, whether I mean, online or what the work we've done, or even the character of myself. So, anyways, that's beside the point. What I'm talking about though is how that 5%, those two reviews out of probably 20 or so that are online through from Angie's List and Google and Facebook and all different places that we are reviewed. If you look at, and it's like literally 5, 10%, how that 5 or 10% negativity completely almost obliterates like the joy of all the other positive reviews. Ends wrong. It's the thing is that as humans, I think we gravitate to negativity. That's why the news is full of negativity, is because people want to they gravitate to it. They want to go after the bone. They want to go after the weak person or the one that's down. And so we gravitate towards negativity. And that's why it's so hard to get over negative reviews from not only from your clients, but from your employees, things that happen negative just in your day to day life, things that happen. I would encourage you just to look at the positive, the 95% of things that are going good for you. And it can be on a business level, but it can be on a personal level. Like we can get so down about the things that are going wrong in our life or what is happening that seems negative, when in reality, such a majority of what's going on to us, we are so blessed, whether it be to live in the country that we live in, or you can start, being political or talking about economics or talking about all these things. But like if you look at them, you just step back and look at like the large picture, the big picture. It's incredible the blessing that we have to be in this country or to be a part of the society or to be in the socioeconomic status that we have and not be begging. Like there's so many things to be thankful for, but it's amazing how the 5 or 10%, the slight look from an employee or a friend or the argument we had or the thing we ate that wasn't good or the bad traffic on the way to work. Like it's amazing how the slight negatives, the 5 pounds we gained over the weekend, like those small negatives can really change our entire day, our perspective, our attitude. And that's what I'm kind of thinking about right now, because like literally last night I saw these reviews and I couldn't sleep. And because like I said, it's when you work so hard knowing that your North Star is customer satisfaction, and then to see that the opposite of customer satisfaction, customer dissatisfaction, is being portrayed as what your company stands for, it's very, very hard to focus on growing the business, to focus on trying to help more customers. And then the problem, and the thing that I never want to happen, and what you never want to be happen, is you get suspicious or you start looking at everyone through the lenses as if they're going to be judging you or they're going to be negative, when that's just not the case. I truly believe positivity is out there. I think it's the 2 to 5, the 2 to 10% of negativity that is constantly trying to wear on us and keep us from focusing on the bigger picture. So that's just what I wanted to share with you, what I'm going through. And like I said, if you want to throw up a Yelp review to try to help me bury these things, I'd love for you to do that. I'm going to be working on my end with our office. We're going to be doing some stuff with our clients to try to get those buried, and then ongoing focusing on Angie List, Google Plus reviews, Facebook reviews, to try to increase our social presence. So that's just what I've been thinking about something I think is valuable, and hopefully there's some one or two people out there that have been going through the same thing and need a little boost of encouragement. So that's it for today, everyone. You've been listening to Mike Andes on the Business Bootcamp Podcast. Check out businessbootcamppodcast.com and check it out. Let me, email me, send me a question. I'd love to get in contact with you. Until next time, be great. There's nothing else.